Thea, come here for a second. Wait, I think I got it. I think I'm good. I just wanted to make sure I was on right. I think I am. Right. Hey, Cindy. Hey, Michaela. Is today Friday yet, people? Thank you, baby. I don't think so. Hey, Eddie. How you doing, buddy? Chris. What's up? Guys, I didn't plan on doing this today. I guess it's out of part boredom, dealing with stress, trying to give people some kind of entertainment, I guess. Dustin, Henry, Roni, what's up, folks? Amelia. Hey, Laura. I guess a lot of people need something to do like me, right? Hey, Nicole. Hey, William. Thanks for jumping on, guys. Think about if we were going through this, folks, before the internet and social media. Oh my goodness, what would we do? You know, what in the world would we do? Hey, Nicole. What in the world would we do? Hey, Lisa. How are you? Rocking the Ronnie Dunn hat tonight. One of the greatest. But Sophia, my gym closed, as all gyms close in Kentucky, and if I'm not able to go to the gym every day and lift weights, I'm miserable. So I went out to Dick's today. I said Dick's. And hey, Amanda, and bought a bench, and even the dumbbells were almost all gone. So I had very limited access to multiple size dumbbells. And Sophia, who is not used to being bored, she leaves for school at 7 in the morning and often doesn't get home till 9 o'clock at night. She likes to go. She's bored out of her mind, so she's putting it together. Hey, Glenda, she's putting it together. Hello, Chrissy. She's putting it together now. Tonight's beverage, my favorite wine, Beaujolais Villages, Louis Jadot. That's my favorite wine in the whole world. I had a good one yesterday that was recommended by my buddies, a couple of my buddies, right? Steven and Jason recommended the bottle. It was very good, but I like my Beaujolais a little bit better, and it's cheaper. Listen, I think I've drinking like a bottle of wine every night for like 6 straight nights. It's like the ultimate snow day, right? When we're young and used to get snowed in, there's nothing else to do. That's kind of what this feels like. But I said, you know what? I'm going to get on here tonight and we'll talk about specific cases, try to entertain you guys a little bit. I'll talk about, I did a video a while back about my dumbest day of training ever. I'm going to talk a little more about that case because although it was very comical when I made the video, there was a tragic ending to it that I never talked about, but we'll get into that. On a side note, my seminar in the Destin area, end of May, with Laura Turner and Amanda Shields, as of right now, it's still on. We don't know what's going to happen with that, guys. We'll play it by ear. I definitely don't want to put anyone at risk. My seminar in August with Joel Silverman in St. Louis, that's a little further away, so that's definitely still on as of right now. And again, we'll play it by ear. I'm supposed to do something, I think, at the end of August for, the combat vets seminar. That's a free seminar for combat vets up in New York with Nelson Hodges. We'll figure all this out. Hey, Carolyn, Ansley, how are you? Hey, Jackie, Doug, Victoria. So those are some of the things we're just trying to keep up on here and everything. You know what I mean, guys? Who knows where we're going to be here in a couple of months. A lot of my fellow trainers that rely on this income, I hate it for you. I know it's going to get tough for a lot of people. Small businesses, things we don't think about sometimes. People are going to a little bit here, and that's awful. I don't know if there's any way I could help if there's anything I could do to help anyone in any way, let me know. I don't know how, but if I could do something, please let me know. And hopefully we could all help each other. All right, let's get going here. I hope everyone has their favorite beverage tonight. I'm going to be 400 pounds by the time this whole thing is done here. All right, so I posted a picture earlier with me and a Rottweiler. That was several years ago. You could probably tell by I had much less facial hair, a little more hair on my head, and I was probably 30 pounds lighter, right? And I had talked about that before. I did a video. I called it my dumbest day ever of training because it was quite comical, but it was stupid what I did, and I got lucky. But that had a very tragic end to it. So I'm going to just talk about that. I was thinking today about some of the cases I've had throughout the years, and I've had some really interesting clientele out of, being in Nashville and everything. And I've been very lucky. The people I've had the opportunity to work with, it's a real blessing. At that time, when I was working with that Rottweiler, that's when I almost only worked with aggression cases. Not on purpose. It wasn't my thing. I didn't set out to do that. But because of some success I had with other cases, that's all I was getting. I got very few dogs that didn't have aggression issues, and a lot of it were human aggression issues. And so I had received a call from a woman about their Rottweiler, and she was very, very determined to get rid of this dog. When she talked to me on the phone, she was scared to death of this Rottweiler. Basically, she told me she hated this dog, and she was scared that this dog was going to kill her in the middle of the night. And some of the things that she told me that this dog was doing definitely did concern me. It really did. It gave me some real concerns. And, I remember thinking on the way to see them at their home in Nashville, I kept saying to myself, this is going to be bad. Hey, Pete. Hello, Rob. How you doing, buddy? Jody, Amanda, Lisa. It definitely made me nervous from the things she was saying. For example, she said she'd wake up in the middle of the night and this dog would be standing on her bed, standing over her, growling and showing his teeth while she was sleeping. I was like, yeah, that's probably not good. And she really hated this dog and she wanted it gone. Okay. So the picture that she painted for me was terrible. And so I show up there one Saturday morning. They lived in a 3-story condo in Nashville. And I go in, I meet them, older couple, mid to late 70s. And the husband's mom was really old and lived with them on the bottom floor in the basement, right? One of their big issues, besides the dog being out of control, was they couldn't watch TV with the dog around because the dog would bark and attack the TV nonstop. They couldn't get the dog to stop attacking the TV, and they were just fed up. And so when I got there, I sat down with the people and we talked a lot. So for you trainers out there, I know I talk about the relationship with the dog a lot. It's very important to me. But just as important, if not more important, is that relationship that we build with the client, with the owner. And I'm very, very big on that. And so when I work with someone, I do everything I can to build that trust and that respect mutually. And I do build some very strong relationships with my clients. And what I tell them is, I am their trainer for the life of the dog as long as they want me, and with that, they know that I give them absolutely everything I have. I give them more than what they paid for, but at the same time, I demand a lot from them. I really do. And what I tell people is if you're going to give me a big fat check to train your dog, then I'm not going to just take it. I'm going to need you to be on board. And so I am very demanding on what I ask for, but I'm so demanding about it because I ask for very little. It's very simple what I ask for, okay? And so I spent a lot of time getting to know these people. Great couple, really liked them quite a bit. I played marriage counselor a lot because they would fight over this dog nonstop, and it was comical, you know. Um, the husband loved this dog. That was his sidekick. He was retired and he was with this dog 24/7 and adored this dog. She hated the dog and they would fight about it. And so I was kind of a mediator, right? We did the first lesson. There was nothing wrong with this dog. It was just a case of these people having the wrong dog. They had way too much dog. And so it didn't take me long before I really started trying to convince them to let me take the dog and find a better home for it. And I don't do that often, guys. I really don't. But I knew there was nothing wrong with this dog, but he was way too much dog for this couple. Um, when I talk about level of e-collars, you know, when people want to buy more powerful e-collars, and I always say, I've only gotten one e-collar that was a little more powerful, and that was the Dogtra 1900 for one dog in my life. It was this dog, because I just needed an added level of security with these people. You know, did they ever need a bigger no, they didn't, and it was useless for me to do. But that is the one time I didn't know I didn't know what would be the best route to take. You know what I mean? Because um, I didn't get the compliance I needed from the owners. Let me say that. I wasn't getting it. If I would have gotten it, we would have been okay. Because I have dealt with elderly people with multiple powerful dogs in the house. And as long as they go along with the program, we're fine. But I couldn't get him to go along with it. So we did that first lesson and it went great. This dog was great. You know, we became pals. There was nothing wrong with him. He wasn't a dangerous dog at all. And back then, I used to have group classes in public places in Nashville on the weekend, but those group classes were only for dogs that went through my program. And so, like I said, most of the dogs back then were aggression cases, but when the dogs had completed all the private lessons or the board and trains, they were allowed to come to group classes. And although I hated doing group classes, that's where people really got to put their handling skills to the test. And they loved it. It was very beneficial for them, you know. I'll give you an example. When I would show up for group class, I'm always early to everything. But the owner, the male owner of the Rottweiler, he'd already be there waiting for me because he lived right down the street from one of the parks I used to do it. And I would pull up and I'd get out and that dog would see me and he'd get excited and he would drag his owner to me every single time. And I would tell him, I won't use names, and say, so and so, come on, what do you can't allow him to do that, you know? And he'd say, man, he's just so happy to see you. He loves you. I said, I get that. I'm happy about that. But these are moments that you have to take advantage of and work with him because you have to be able to control that excitement, you know? Great guy. I loved him to death, but he just wasn't going to do what needed to be done. The problem was I couldn't fix the dog barking at the TV because after our first lesson, the dog would never do it in front of me. All right. I never did anything to correct this dog in any way. No physical punishment for any reason. You never gave me reason to. But the thing was, the second you take that leash, that dog understands if you're serious or not, if you're going to lead or not, if you're in charge or not. And so I was able to remove that stress from that dog. He no longer needed to be in charge. I took that from him, which that allows the dog just to relax a little bit, you know? So no matter what we did inside the home, we couldn't get that dog to react to the TV. And, you know, interesting side note, when I got there, I had seen some very interesting memorabilia in the house. And I brought up some, you know, I asked some questions about it because I was familiar with the individual. The woman was very closely related to one of the most famous individuals ever to walk the face of the earth. You know, so these were very interesting people, like And I was a huge fan of the person she was closely related to. And she would tell me stories about them being together, and it was just amazing. So I've had tremendous, unbelievably interesting people that I've gotten to work with because of the entertainment world down in Nashville. But this person was with like the most famous of famous people of all time. And it was just crazy listening to the stories from back then. And I know that was just a side note. I found it amazing. It was pretty cool to me. And since we couldn't get the dog to react to the TV, his owner had a really brilliant idea. I can't remember if he asked me to there. I think he called me. I'm not sure, really. So, whatever. He calls me, I think. And he said, okay, Larry, I got an idea. He says, he's not going to go after the TV in front of you. So, why don't we do this? The next time you're scheduled to come over, I'll leave the downstairs door unlocked. And you'll hear him. And I want you to sneak up and catch him in the act. And I'm thinking, geez, I've met this dog one time. Like, this is after the first lesson, right? And I'm thinking, okay, we got this very strong Rottweiler, and he barely knows me. So what do I say? I said, okay, I'll do it. And then as soon as I said that, I was like, that's a dumb idea. Like, that's just plain stupid. But I'm like, what am I going to do? It's like, okay, I'll give it a shot. Met the dog once, right? So that next Saturday morning, I show up to the house. They know I'm coming. And I hear the dog. I can hear him upstairs, third floor, right? Going crazy, attacking the TV. I'm like, oh, geez. All right. So I sneak in through the front door. Now, let me paint this picture for you. When you walk through the front door, there's a flight of steps that goes downstairs where their mother lived. So she had to be like 100 years old, right? And then you go up 2 flights. There's a first floor, and then the third floor is upstairs. First floor is all the way down. Second floor is level, and then third floor. So as I walk in, I'm sneaking in real quietly. And the old lady downstairs must have heard someone coming in. So just like in a movie, right? She don't know me. I never met her. She peeks her head out from downstairs and looks at me. And I look at her and I go, and she just eased back behind the wall. Who knows what she thought, right? Now I hear the dog, roof, roof, roof. And I start tiptoeing up the stairs, real as quiet as I can be. And I'm nervous. I'm definitely nervous. I don't know how the dog's going to react to me sneaking up on him, right? Not the brightest thing. All of a sudden, I hear the barking stop and pause. And I hear him running down the stairs. And I'm like, holy shit. And I just froze. And he comes flying around the corner. And I'm saying his name. Like, hey, buddy, just me. Everything's cool. And he stopped and he looked at me for a second. And then he turned around and ran back upstairs. And I was like, oh my gosh, thank God. Like, I pretty much dropped a load in my pants. Went back upstairs and he wasn't barking at the TV. And so he wouldn't do it. He would literally just lay down when we're sitting there talking, and they'd put on all the things that would get him. Animal shows really got him going, especially if there was horses and stuff. Like, it would drive him nuts, but he wouldn't do it. So we did another lesson, and the guy just wouldn't follow orders. And the wife finally got so disgusted that by the time we got to go into group classes, she wouldn't let him go. She said, I'm taking the dog from now on. And I was blown away by that because she hated this dog. She wanted nothing to do with him. But she was so frustrated and determined to fix him that she decided she'd start taking him to the group classes. And the first group class she did, mind you, this is an elderly woman, mid 70s to late 70s. Like, she really did fantastic. Like, you saw this dog totally change in her hands. And this was around all big, powerful, aggressive dogs previously, and she did really good. And she gained a level of respect for the dog, and I think a little bit of love possibly too, but you really saw the dog change, you know what I mean? And she continued to come for a while. They did well. They did well. There were issues here and there with the man owner not following through, and I'm kind of skipping around back and forth here. There were several issues. I worked with them a lot. The dog was doing great, but I still tried to convince them to give the dog up. Hey Debbie, because he was just too much dog and he wasn't being utilized and he wasn't being physically and mentally stimulated at all. It wasn't enough for him. He was a very strong, very driven dog, but he wasn't going to give him up. Then I got a call one night, and it really disturbed me how they were having issues with people in their condo complex because the dog was out of control and people were scared. And he went after this dog, and this young couple wanted to sue them. And I'm thinking, man, that doesn't make that dog doesn't do that. You know what I mean? So I had a hard time really wrapping my head around all this. Hey, what's going on, Ryan? Haven't talked to you in a while, buddy. Roger, how are you, my friend? Hey, Lisa, how you doing? Hello, Ken. And then I got a call one night, and it was awful. It was absolute. And I've never talked about this. I don't think. I don't think I did anyway. But this came after I made the video. It was a comical video about my dumbest day of training, sneaking up on the dog. Right? I may have talked about this before. I don't know. I got an awful call that one night the man was walking the dog, and the dog tried to attack another dog, and he knocked the man down trying to stop him, the owner, really bad. And the pictures that I was sent was brutal. Cracked the guy's skull wide open, split his head wide open. The guy was in the hospital, broken neck, bad shape, fractured skull. The picture was gruesome. You would think this guy is dead for sure. And it was heartbreaking. I was devastated, and I didn't understand it because I had never seen any indication from this dog, even with the owner. He just didn't show that. And so immediately the dog was taken and put down. The dog lost its life, and I was just devastated. I was just really devastated, and I felt like I failed them. Felt like I failed the dog. I failed the people. It was awful. And I don't mind failing, but for something so tragic to happen, that was just awful, right? Then a few weeks later, I think it was a few weeks, maybe a couple months, I don't even know, the lady calls me and says, I need to talk to you. I was like, oh, okay. The husband was getting better, but he was still in the hospital, but he was going to live. And she said, I have something to tell you, and I think you're going to be really upset. I said, okay, let's hear it. Hello, Carolyn. And what had happened was the owner had been sober for over 30 years, never had a drink for over 30 years, a recovering alcoholic. He started drinking again, and the only time and place he had to drink was he would tell the wife he was taking the dog for a walk, and he would drink as much as he could, as fast as he could on the walk. And what had happened was he got so drunk, the dog never went after anyone. The guy blacked out and passed out and fell and split his head open. The dog was killed for no reason. The dog had nothing to do with it. The dog was a victim of being in the wrong home. And part of the reason I'm talking about this is a lot of you tell me sometimes, you'll send me emails and ask me, like, you seem to have the best clients in the world. Like, how do you get these people? It's not that I get the best clients. I develop that with them, and I'm very selective on who I take on. So when I talk to someone over the phone, I know within a few seconds if I'm going to work with them or not, because that relationship is vital to me, and I got close with these people. I got close with the dog, and the dog lost its life because what you have to understand as a dog trainer is it's a lot more than behavior rehabilitation, a lot more than obedience, a lot more than commands. You never know what people are going through. There's always more there. And you have to spend time to get to know people. I did spend time, but I had no idea this was going on. But the person that lived with him for many years had no idea this was going on, you know. But the whole time when I was saying to myself, this doesn't make sense, there's just something not right there. When you get that feeling, there usually is. There's usually something more. And a lot of times I work with people that seem to have, hey, Michael, what's going on, buddy? That seem to have everything, right? Very powerful people, very wealthy people, very well-known people. And what you learn after a while is, doesn't matter. Everyone goes through the same crap, and everyone has hard times. Everyone struggles. Everyone has marital problems. Everyone's kids wind up getting the things they don't want to. All people are the same, and all people want the same. And these are things you have to take into consideration when someone is paying you a lot of money and trusting you with something so precious to them. You have to take all this in. And so I try to put out a lot of stuff that will help younger dog trainers. But it's so difficult to video the stuff that's most important, and that's why I did that little video, 40 something seconds the other day with Patton, about letting him out of his pen and going outside. That's the kind of stuff that's really important to me, but there's always something more. And so you have to dig really deep, and it's a lot more than come sitting down and, e-collars and leashes and prong collars. The people are where you have to really, you can be the best trainer in the world. Okay. It doesn't matter who you are. You can take any dog and give it to Bart Ballone or Ivan Balabanov, and they could spend 6 months with the dog and do unbelievable things, right? They're the best of the best. But when they give it back to the owner, if they can't educate the owner and have the owner comply and do what's necessary for that specific dog, then it's useless. It's useless. What I should have done with that couple from the start is told them, no, I'm going to find you the right dog, but this dog, we have to find him a better home. I should have been more adamant because I knew he couldn't handle him. I knew it. And I should have pushed a little harder. There's always something else there. And that's important. To give you something, a better story. Okay, quick, and then I'll let you guys go. I'll end it. But I like to use examples because sometimes I think that's where people really understand. Another couple calls me. This is a young couple in Nashville years ago, around the same time as this dog. I used to do in-homes then. Hey, JD. So a young couple calls me. They have 3 dogs. Female pit bull, extremely dog aggressive. So dog aggressive that she once jumped through a plate glass window to attack a dog walking down the street, okay? They managed it. They lived with it. But now she's starting to attack one of their own dogs. So now this is a real problem. And she's going after their cat. So I show up. I meet this young couple, really great people, really nice people. And I'm just looking at the dogs, observing the dogs. We're talking. I ask a lot of questions. Again, I'm spending time with the people, getting to learn the situation, right? And I asked them, at this point, they hadn't showed me. And I said, well, I pointed over there in one corner. I said, is that the dog that she's attacking? And they said, yeah, how'd you know out of the 2? I said, well, there's something wrong with that dog. And they said, well, what do you mean? What's wrong with it? I said, I don't know, but the dog's under a lot of stress. There's definitely something wrong with that dog, and that's probably part of the reason why this came out of nowhere, because it wasn't like the dog was 9-10 months old and they get to that age. They had been living together in harmony for a long time. I said, I don't know what it is. I'm just telling you there's something wrong with that dog. And so during that lesson, that was just an evaluation. It wasn't even a lesson. I put the pit bull on a leash, and I had the dog go to her bed, and I had them bring the cat out because now she was going after the cat. And when she went to get off the bed, I just moved towards her. I used some spatial pressure, and I didn't use any commands. I didn't use any corrections besides the spatial pressure. I put her back on the bed, and I let the cat come out, and she didn't bother the cat. It's like she didn't care. And the people couldn't understand, why is she not going after the cat now? And again, when you put the leash on the dog understands that now, okay, I have to be under control from this guy here, right? So that was just the evaluation. That week, we set up to start the following week training. That week, the owner calls me, the man, and his voice is kind of broken. Hey, Angel. And he says, um, remember you said there was something wrong with the dog? I said, yeah. He said, well, it really bothered me. And I took her to the vet, and his voice starts cracking, and you could tell he's like in tears, and he's like, she's loaded with cancer. She's dying. I said, man, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, but any dog person would have known. You could see the stress in the dog. And, that's not so rare when a dog is really sick like that the other dogs will try to eliminate them. I've seen it many times. And so that was kind of that. And this dog was very dog aggressive. So we started working with the dog. Same training that I do with all dogs. It was nothing different, okay? Just all basic stuff. And I never once had to use punishment with that dog being aggressive towards other dogs, because I never put her, hey, Adrian, hope you're doing well. Hello, Kim. I never put the dog in a situation where she had to respond like that, right? Once we had enough training in her, then I started introducing her to situations where previously she would blow up and go after dogs. And she went through the whole program, did really well around dogs, comfortable, not just avoiding them, because I never punished that, right? I had a female Dutch Shepherd, and when that pit bull started coming to group classes, not only was she fine in class with the other dogs, I've had pictures of her. I think I have some video too of her and my female Dutchie. We used to let them run around and play and wrestle, and they would go at it nonstop, all class, having a good time. And so not only was that dog not going after the other dogs, attacking the other dogs, but she was playing with another female and wrestling and having a good old time. And that's how she lived. I never once had to punish that aggression out of her, right? That was fixed 100% by the owners committing to changing what they were doing around the home, by being very direct and structured with that dog, laying a lot of ground rules and not accepting anything less than perfection. And I was hard. I was hard with the one owner, the man. I really was. I was on him. Not mean, but I had to have him succeed because this was tearing him up. Great people, great young couple. And they did it. They did a phenomenal job. But again, if I'm ever going to think that I could take that dog and fix it and just give it back to people, it doesn't work that way. It's never going to work. And that's why so many people are still failing there, guys. You have to understand what's going on inside the home, and you have to understand that relationship between owner and dog, and that's what you have to fix. You have to. No tool is going to fix that. No punishment is going to fix that. That's one of my favorite dogs of all time. It really is. I absolutely adored her so much. And she did a complete turnaround, a complete turnaround. And again, that was straight up from the owners. But you have to make that connection. Hey, Sophia, I know you're busy, babe. Would you mind feeding the dogs for me real quick? Thanks, babe. Sophia is the best helper ever. Like, she does so much for me. She's putting together my weight bench now. Now she'll go take care of the dogs. Hey, Mark, how are you, buddy? Hello, Pam. Hello, Joy, Lisa, James. But I don't know. I just wanted to get on here tonight because I know so many people are nervous and scared and their businesses are hurting. And again, for the people that rely on that dog training check, or if you own another small, I'm so sorry. It's really scary times. And I know a lot of people are going to struggle right now. Yeah, baby. Yeah, please. You know what the other ones get? Thanks, babe. Love you. She's the best. She's the best. She does a lot for me. She's a really good kid. Really good kid. I'm very lucky. Um, I don't even know where I left off, but those are two specific cases. And like I said back then, the the I learned so much by dealing with dogs like that all the time. And that's kind of where the no hands thing came through, So I laugh now when I hear people criticize it, say he never touches the dog. No, you dumb fucker. I don't touch the dog for first two lessons, But I just got an email the other day from a trainer I respect a great deal. Great guy, really good dude, is as good as they come. And he sent me a text. He goes, man, if I didn't do the hands off thing, I never thought I'd be able to touch this dog. He's like, third lesson, it's like we're best friends. And so I get email after email from trainers dealing with human aggressive dogs like that. It works, man. It's absolutely fantastic. I think I've had one dog in the past, I don't know, 5, 6 years, that third lesson didn't just say, hey, okay, what's going on, buddy? That tried to friggin' annihilate me. And you guys saw it. We had it on video, right? We had the German Shepherd that said, yeah, third lesson's not working today, buddy. But that's just part. Hey, David, how are you, buddy? Hello, Ross. So I don't know if you guys have any questions from that. I almost started telling you guys some stuff about my childhood, to get to know me a little more, but I thought my wife would like cringe and be like, you can't do that, at least not till you retire. Growing up in New Jersey, I don't know if any of my Jersey friends are on here, Lodi, New Jersey. I've had a very interesting childhood. I mean, I could keep you guys laughing for a while for sure if I told you some of the things when I was a kid growing up, and not that young either, you know. But those are two specific stories. That first one ended really tragically, and it could have been avoided completely, guys. A dog lost its life simply for the reason it was in the wrong home. And I guess the point of that story is, if you guys are dealing with someone that hey, Robin, how are you? If it's just too much dog, you have to do everything you can to try to convince the people to find a better home. You really do, because it's always going to end up bad for someone, and eventually it's going to end up bad for the dog. And that ended in the worst way. A man almost lost his life, and a beautiful dog that didn't deserve it, did lose its life. He did nothing wrong, but the man's got a sickness, and that sickness is what killed the dog. And I just happened to be there for all of it. But as far as failures, someone asked me that yesterday. Have I failed with any dogs? Shit, absolutely. Absolutely. A couple of dogs that I couldn't do at all. Where are we at? 37 minutes. All right, I'll talk about one more dog if you guys want, or if you want to go, I'll cut this off. Hey, Catherine, one more dog, and I have talked about this in a video, right? Yeah, very sad, Laura. Very sad, But I've seen a lot doing this over the years. A lot. I really have. Mostly good, but you're going to see bad. And this next story, again, not good. I get a call, local call. People here in Bowling Green where I live. They have a Rottweiler mix. The whole family is scared of the dog except for their 17-year-old daughter. I think she was 17, 16 or 17. Dog was very unpredictable, very aggressive towards family members at times, and just a danger to have around the house. And so their vet really wanted to put the dog down. They didn't want to put the dog down. They wanted to give it a shot. And the vet said, I don't think this dog could be fixed, but if someone around here is going to fix it, call this guy. He had them call me. And again, the things they told me were a little off-putting, didn't sound good. So I show up at the house one day, and I walk in to their foyer, and I'm standing in the foyer, and we're talking. I'm getting a feel for the people, and the dog is there. And I'm getting a feel for the dog. I'm not acknowledging the dog, I'm just watching out the corner of my eye what it's doing, how it's acting. And it was definitely off. There was definitely something I needed to be concerned with for sure. And so I was very careful about my movements and what I did around the dog. Never threatened me. But at the same time, if I would have moved the wrong way, there was no doubt this dog would have nailed me, you know? And a lot of what the people told me it was a little scary. This dog was extremely unpredictable. Now, almost always when people tell you how bad a dog is or they give you their side of the story, very rarely is it accurate, right? Usually the dog's not that bad at all and they're leaving a lot out. In this case, I think the people were pretty much dead on, but they were committed. So I gave it a shot. And so we scheduled the first lesson and I come, and the plan was for me to do it hands off. I was already doing this at that time, and I was going to have the owner do the handling. But to be honest with you, he struggled so much. Hey, Timothy, how are you, buddy? He struggled so much. At one point, I just said, give me the leash. And I took the dog, and I said, if I get bit, I get bit, but I have to do this. Yeah, babe. And you can give him a little of our food, too. Thanks, babe. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. So I took the dog and I'm working with the dog and he's doing very well. He was doing very well, but he looked like he was waiting for something bad to happen, and I see that a lot with dogs that have been to other trainers. And so I that's what I told him. I said, guys, he's doing great, like much better than I expected, but he's telling me like he's waiting for something bad to happen. I said, has this dog been through another trainer or something? They said, yeah, he has. I said, okay. I said, did you see any of the training? They said, yeah. I said, okay, where was he trained? It was a place here in town, Bowling Green, Kentucky. Kind of rhymes with my name a little bit, my company name. I won't say their name, but they should not be training dogs. And I said, okay, well, what did you see? And so what happened was when she went to pick the dog up from a boarding train, she left the dog there. And this is what she saw. So who knows what went on, which she didn't see. So when she got there, they had an e-collar on the dog. These people should not be 100 miles within an e-collar. They put the dog on a training table. For those of you that don't know what a training table is, they had a round wooden table, like a big spool, with a pole in the middle with the chain that they attached the dog to. Now, what they did with this dog was they put the chain on the dog's collar, and then what they were doing was agitating the dog. And the dog's trying to get away, and obviously the chain was too long because the dog's falling off the training table and like hanging itself, and they have to keep putting it on there. So they're agitating the dog until the dog finally shows aggression, and then they were lighting the dog up with the e-collar. That's not dog training. That is 100% abuse. Okay? No excuse for it. And those people should never be able to train a dog again. Those people should never be around a dog again. Those people should have their teeth stomped in. If that's my dog, I'm going to hurt them really bad physically, 100%. So this lady was devastated. What she saw was awful. But people trust trainers. They trust them that maybe this what needs to be done. So that answered my question why this dog was looking like something bad was going to happen, right? So Beaujolais Villages, favorite wine. Celebrate life right now, guys. We have nothing else to do. So I continue the training, and the dog was doing fantastic. I mean, really good, guys. After we did the first lesson, when I came back that second week and opened the door, and I saw this dog with the people, I was like, holy crap. I'm like, what did you guys do? They blew it out the water. They were confident. Dog was doing great. I mean, they had really done a great job in 1 week. Tremendous job. I was like, holy crap, man. I'm really proud of you guys. Like, this is not what I expected. So we started taking the dog out in more public places and really working the dog. And man, he did wonderful. He did wonderful, And I'm like, okay. Now remember, the whole family's scared of this dog except the 17-year-old daughter. I had gone through a lot of things inside the home that they were doing wrong and why I thought this dog was blowing up at them at times. And what it came down to is this dog was possessing anything it can get a hold of, and anyone that moved in his sight got pinned to the wall. Very dangerous behavior, right? So we covered a lot of that stuff and did our best to change that. Um, so we go through the training, dog's doing great. And then I get a text from the mom one night and says, please call me as soon as you can. That's never good. And I'm thinking, oh man, what just happened here? So I call her and she's really upset. So what had happened was the dog was laying on the ground. And what I figured out after she told me was it was chewing on an area rug, a small rug in front of their back door. So now that dog is possessing that area rug. So now the only family member who's not scared of that dog, the 17-year-old girl, they're tight. This dog sleeps in her room, sleeps in her bed. They're together all the time. She's bonded with this dog, right? Now all of a sudden she gets up to walk in the kitchen, the 17-year-old girl, and this dog jumps up and explodes and pins her up against the wall and is showing its teeth like in her face. So now the only person who wasn't scared of this dog is petrified, scared to death, scared to death. And this woman's telling me this, and hey, Tiffany, and, she's devastated. And she's like, I don't know what to do at this point. We've done everything. And I knew what she was doing. She was looking for permission from me to put the dog down. And you could tell she was kind of acting and saying things like she was a bad owner, like she had failed. Okay. And what I told her, I stopped her. I said, let me explain something to you guys. I said, you're the complete opposite. You are the dream owner of a dog. You couldn't be any better. And I said, I don't sugarcoat things and I'm honest with people. I said, you have gone above and beyond what 99% of the population would ever do. You did everything I asked you to, and you did it above what I expected. You did an absolute incredible job. I told him, I said, there is obviously something off with that dog. I don't know if it's genetic, or I don't know if it had what it went through at the training, but you cannot live your life walking around your house scared of your own pet, scared of your own dog. You can't do it. And I said, I want you to know that not only do I think you should put this down, the dog down, I said, but it does not make you a bad owner, makes you a great owner, and it makes you a better parent. Don't ever feel bad about it. You did all you can. And you heard the sigh of relief. She said, thank you. She said, I needed to hear that. I said, I know you did. I know you did. And there's nothing wrong with it. And it was still hard for them. It was still hard for them. They still struggled. They took the dog. They did what they had to do. A couple of weeks later, they went, hey, Alexander. They went and they got themselves a little golden retriever puppy. And I continued to help them with that puppy. Just transferred everything we did with the first dog. And they were like a different family because they went, hey, Tanya, they went from having not just a liability, but a straight up dangerous animal in their home to where their life was just miserable to having the best dog they could possibly get. This puppy was a dream puppy and they were just so happy. They were living their best life. You know what I mean? And again, that was a case that there was nothing more that those people could have done. So 3 very different scenarios there, right? But there's one thing that all 3 scenarios have in common, and that is that relationship and that connection to the people is so imperative to have if we're going to be able to do our job at its highest level. You just have to, guys. You have to. Not everyone is a people person. Hey, Terry. But you have to give people more than what they pay for. You deserve it yourself. The animals deserve it. And you're never going to go wrong. You're never going to go wrong by giving people more. I don't give people discounts financially, but I'll give them more of what they pay for. I'll give them more service. The dogs I have here now, supposed to be 3 or 4 week boarding trains. One of the owners called me the other day, say it's a month. Do you want me to come get him? I was like, no, he's good, man. We'll call you when we need you. You know what I mean? And so you have to make that connection and get to know people. Now, it's not always possible, guys. You're going to run into people sometimes that want nothing to do with the process. If those people have difficult dogs, chances of you succeeding at the highest level is going to be very difficult. And that's not on your end, that's on their end. You need them. It has to be a team. Me and the dog, we're a team, right? I'm the captain of that team, but we're a team. Me and the owners, we're a team, and you have to have that. Things are going to come up, difficulties are going to come up. Hey, Bridget, and you have to be able to work through that. But, I've worked with all kinds of people. I got stories I could talk about all night. I'm very, very lucky with the people I get to work with. And so for the people who say you get the best clients on the planet, I do, but I build that. We do that together. You know what I mean? A lot of them know my family. I take my family to go see these people. When I get to bring my family to hang out with people that most people never dream of getting to meet, and we're in their home, and my daughter, who's a huge fan of some of these people, are just in awe. That's a blessing. That's a real blessing, and I don't take it for granted. I'll never take that for granted. But again, all people are the same. Don't matter how big your house is, how much money you have, or how small your house is and how small your yard is. Dogs don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. They just need to be treated with respect, but treated like the animal they are, not a child, not a baby. Because when we do that, we destroy them. And so we have to teach people that, because that's what people want to do. Their intentions are good, but their actions are very damaging. And that's why they lose the animals, and that's why they have the problems, and that's why the shelters are filled. A big part of the reason we destroy the animals by trying to communicate like they're our children, like they're people, and it's not fair to the dog. It's just not fair to the dog. And I've seen it all. I've seen some crazy things over the years, but maybe tomorrow we'll do it again. I'll talk about a couple of more stories, some good ones, some bad ones, because there's always going to be tragedy when you're dealing with lives, people and animals. Okay, guys? I appreciate y'all tuning in. If I can help you guys in any way, I don't know how, but if I can, let me know. In the meantime, I think everyone should just be grateful, stay safe, and the easiest way to stay safe and in your home, guys, is by getting your favorite adult beverage and drinking enough of it that you can't get in your car and leave and get infected with anything. Okay? Peace, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. And maybe we'll see you tomorrow. If you guys have topics you want to talk about, let me know. Thanks for the support as always. Peace.